Champions Cup, the Saturday games, there were 6 of them. I managed to watch 3 in full. I managed to watch Munster against Saracens, Ulster Harlequins, and Northampton Leinster. Didn't get up at 2 a.m. to watch this one, as that was the screening time. I got up at around 10 to 5 and double screened those two, kind of delayed, and then I watched that one a little bit delayed as well. But still, I watched them all in full, even though double watching is not the most conducive to watching the game, but still, it's better than watching the highlights. The other 3, I have seen the highlights. I will go through them, share a few thoughts, and you guys can let me know yours. The first one, Lyon against Benetton. I was never going to watch this one. Apologies, I'm running out of ink in my pen. I need to do a mission to go get a new whiteboard marker today, probably. Lyon Benetton, I don't know if there were huge interest levels in this game. The crowd didn't seem to be kind of all that massive. But either way, Lyon did it pretty comfortably in the end. I thought Benetton would be better than that, but they didn't manage to score a point. Lyon are at least on 6 points now in the pool. Benetton are down there on 2 points in 4th, so 3 losses on the trot for them. Tries to Lyon from Bouton, Natai, Mignot, and Gill, so 3 of them in the first half. The first half was really dominant. Like, they had 15-0 after about 15 minutes, 20-0 by half time, but only managed to score 28 points. So I guess the second half was a wee bit better. Again, I've only seen the highlights. They did have one disallowed try from a TMO double movement. Natai's try was pretty good, but was from a pretty ordinary kick from Benetton. They managed to get that bonus point from Liam Gill's try at the end, so I guess if nothing else, you give Lyon a bit of credit for going ahead and getting that bonus point. And it was during a yellow card as well, so yeah, they had to get that done. It was an interesting one, though, because at one point, what was it, 66 minutes, they got the yellow card. This is Lyon. So Benetton got the yellow card, so they had a man advantage. They were 1 try away from a bonus point, 20-0 ahead, and they kicked 3 points. The commentators were as perplexed as I was. Made it 23-0. When they scored 8 points during the yellow card, they missed the final conversion, but oh well. A job done from Lyon's perspective. I guess that keeps them technically alive a little bit longer. I haven't actually looked at the full table, but it's still a tough road ahead. Lyon had almost doubled the run meters. They had more possession, more territory, tackled better, and didn't have to tackle as many times. Bouton had a try assist, 116 run meters, 3 clean breaks, and 3 defenders beaten. Negri had 15 out of 15 tackles, so a pretty top effort from Lyon. I honestly thought Benetton would be better, like I said. Next one, Northampton against Leinster. The scoreline perhaps doesn't do this game justice. 43-16 seems like an absolute hiding. That side of the board of Leinster's is looking rather crowded. I probably could have used a bit more space vertically down to give them a bit more, but that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They didn't do me any favours by having only one guy score each try. It's better if there's a hat trick or something, but yes, 7 different try scorers. But still, the lead changed in this game 4 times. So it doesn't really do it justice. Lama was always looking dangerous in this game, and he started looking dangerous, breaking out of his own 22. He passed to Lowe. Lowe went in for a try early to make it 7-0. But then Tuala got one for Northampton pretty much immediately in return on 7 minutes, so not that long later. They had a penalty. They went line out. They went some phases. They were getting over the gain line. They went over in the corner. And the game was very frantic. It was end-to-end. Like, Lama would go one way, or Lowe would go one way, Proctor would come back the other way. It was proper entertainment stuff. Both sides were missing tackles, knocking on, so yeah, it was frantic. Bigger kicked a penalty on 14 minutes to make it 10-7 in Northampton's favour, but then Leinster struck back with the try through Rhys Ruddock. Pretty much straight back, and again, that one came from a Lama line break, so 14-10. Bigger penalty makes it 13-14. Another one makes it 16-14, so Northampton back in front, and this is after about half an hour. And then 36 minutes, Leinster turn down 3. They go for a line-up more with advantage, and Porter absolutely powers over for the try. So half-time it goes in, they miss the conversion, 19-16. So lead changes. First half, very competitive. Second half, it doesn't go that well for Northampton. They don't score a point. And Leinster just keep kind of turning that pressure valve. Healy gets a try after a bunch of phases. Sexton goes off. He looked a bit sore, so we'll see how he goes. 24 points to 16. That's the bonus point. And then they just keep packing on the tries. Ross Byrne gets one. And then there's a lot of a gap. Like Northampton do go on the attack. They keep getting turned over. Like Josh van der Fleer gets turnovers. Naiyaravoro knocks the ball on. There's a tip tackle on Bigger by Ringrose, and he gets yellow carded. Northampton have a big period of pressure, like I said, but they can't score any points during that time, so the yellow card period is 0-0. Northampton attack, they knock on again. Leinster just forcing those errors from them. Then eventually McGrath gets a try from about a metre out, and it's Naiyaravoro that he kind of goes round at the side of the ruck. And then Ed Byrne gets a try right at the end. He's kind of got no right to go through there, but he, again, powers on through. So 43-16. Advantage Leinster in that pool, man. They are now first on their own on 14 points. Northampton remain on 9. Run meters, Leinster 549. Northampton 372. Leinster 59% territory. 58 territory, 59 possession. Made 155 tackles. Northampton had to make 212, so that's a ton. Massive away bonus point win. That's basically what that comes down to. Proctor put in a good shift. 10 defenders beaten, 65 run meters, but Lama 4 clean breaks, 7 defenders beaten, 112 run meters. That guy was just on absolute fire. So first half, really tight, competitive stuff. Second half, just all Leinster. They really look like they are going to be a force to be reckoned with this season. The next one, La Rochelle up against Glasgow. I didn't see this one. I was planning on watching it, and now I wish I had, because this one was a right ding-dong battle as well. I'm not quite sure how Glasgow managed to come back, because it did look like they were kind of dead and buried in this one. They started with a penalty, but then Rates set up a try to Priso. He's really just hard to bring down, isn't he? And that made it 7-3. La Rochelle kicked the penalty, 10-3. Another penalty, 13-3. Another penalty to Glasgow, 13-6. Then Glasgow, like on 35 minutes, they managed to steal a La Rochelle line-out from their own 5-metre line. So Glasgow are defending line-out for all money, and they manage it, but then they fumble the ball loose. And La Rochelle get the try through Kieft. You could see the La Rochelle hooker shaking his head at them not having set the move properly, even after they managed to score the try, but still. 18-6 at half-time, and it was looking like a long road for Glasgow to come back. But second half, they started it well. Gibbons with a maul try, and that was just before half-time. It was just after half-time that they started putting pressure on as well. It was just before half-time. Gibbons got the try before half-time, and then that was after they'd turned down 3 points. So it was 18-13 at half-time. So it was 18-6, I thought they're looking in trouble. But then they score that try, which is actually probably a really good time to score a try, because your coach has just written down a bunch of notes what he wants to say, and he gets to tear that up because you've just changed the storyline. Second half, though, La Rochelle kick a penalty, 21-13. But then, under pressure, Matawalu with the intercept, perhaps key moment of the game. He probably stopped La Rochelle from scoring down the other end from what I saw of it. And that brings it back within a point, 21-20. La Rochelle kick a penalty, 24-20. And then there's a cross kick from Hastings to Stain. They've got advantage. And he puts the hammer down and scores a try on 64 minutes. So it's 27-24. And that's how it finishes. So there's no tries for the last kind of 15 minutes. La Rochelle were attacking past the 80-minute mark. They were going phase after phase after phase, and eventually knocked it on. So as the commentator said, famous win for Glasgow. Very crucial win. I mean, La Rochelle are pretty much dead and buried now. 1 point from 3 games. Glasgow are now in second on 8 points. So absolutely vital for them to get that result, and congratulations to them for it. The stats are pretty even. Run meters 448 to 444. Tackling percentages 88, 81. Glasgow made more, 131. La Rochelle 114. Penalties conceded. Glasgow conceded 15 to La Rochelle's 8. So that's a concerning one. But possession territory largely pretty even. That guy Rates, man, has been in phenomenal form despite the fact that his team ain't been winning. 9 defenders beaten, 100 run meters. Johnny Gray doing his tackling thing. 19 from 19. He just doesn't stop. I should mention that all these fixtures next week will be reversed. That's that stage where they go the back-to-back. So Glasgow will be home to La Rochelle, Leinster will be home to Northampton, Lyon will be away to Benetton, all that kind of good stuff. The next one, Ulster against Harlequins. Pretty glad I watched this one. I don't know how you're getting on if you're an Ulster fan with your blood pressure, because they're 3 from 3. But they never do it in a way which is going to have you kind of relaxed in the back of your seat, happy as, because their points difference is 7. Like, they're 7 points ahead of the positive negative, and they've still got 3 wins. So they're always having close games. And this one was an absolute nail biter, kind of a brain explosion moment for Harlequins. Again, I had that game on the telly and this game on the computer, so I may have focused a bit too much on that one. But towards the end, as this game was blowing out, I was trying to watch this one as much as I could because it was close. Cooney, man for the hour, he kicks a penalty to start with 3-0. Harlequins equalise 3 apiece. I felt like Harlequins had all that pressure early on, and the Ulster defence was just able to hold, get turnovers, put the ball back into touch. The TMO had a look at a Harlequins, was it a high tackle? But they said it was all good. And then a guy who had a great outing was Dombrand. Man, he got a try. There were some great passes, offloads, and whatnot in the build-up. Sinclair's last pass, I think it was flat. I think the crowd thought it was forward, but I think it was flat. Puts Quins ahead 10-3. Second half of the first half, Ulster really start to come into it. They had a good chance. McCloskey puts the ball into touch. He's down the wing, and he thinks his winger is still outside him, so he passes it, but it goes into touch because his winger's cut back inside him. But that was a good chance. They were looking dangerous. Henderson had a strip, and then Burns with a cross kick. Again, it was to McCloskey. He offloaded to Reedy, who got the first try for Ulster. That made it 10-10 at the end of the half. So, end of the first half was kind of all Ulster's momentum. First half of the first half was Harlequin. So, by quarters, they each kind of had a quarter. My son is laughing away. Bear with me just a second. And we're back. Just gave him a bit of a... Be quiet. I'm doing a video. We'll play later. Trust me, we'll play later. We already went to the park today. It bloody rained on us. Anyway, where was I? Yes. McCloskey throwing the ball into touch. 10 all at half time. Second half, McCloskey got a try of his own. Again, there were phases, and I've written some notes about something down the left wing. They missed the conversion. It was 15-10. They stopped the game for a while because Campagnaro seemed pretty hurt. He did walk off okay, but they did stop the game for quite a while for him. Then there's kind of a, what they would put in Super Rugby, they would call it a bang-bang. And that was Elia, the hooker for Quins, gets a double. He gets one on 57 minutes. It's a line-out maul, and it's an offload to the hooker to make it a 15-17. And then Ulster are going close, and Harlequins get a one-handed intercept. Go down the length of the field. It was top stuff. You won't see many intercepts better than that. They had to check that he was onside, but he was. And then I think from the back of the ruck, Elia just has a quick dummy, and he goes straight over. So at that point, it's 24-15 to Quins, and it seems like they should hold this one out. That seems like in this game, it seems like a pretty tough lead to bring back. But 66 minutes, Ulster, one of the best maul tries you will see, and it's McBurney that gets down. So it's 22-24. Kind of set up for a grandstanding finish. Neither side's quite able to get on top. And a few minutes before this final penalty, I see Thavubati and one of the Ulster guys, they're kind of having a go, like pushing each other and having some words. And I see Marcus Smith come and push Thavubati back to say, like, no, man, get back on the line, just defend, because I think Ulster had the ball. And then that was fine. But then a few minutes later, he tackles a guy without the ball. Sure enough, it's a penalty. And who else but Cooney takes the kick. It's 25-24. Ulster get an absolutely incredible win. Like I said, if you're an Ulster fan, your blood pressure, it's tough times, man. But I mean, 3 wins from 3, sitting pretty. First place, 12 points. No bonus points, so that could be an interesting one, but still they're sitting pretty well in the pool. More run meters, Ulster 438 to 315, more possession 58%, more territory 60%. Made Harlequins make 160 tackles. Ulster only had to make 108. McCloskey a try assist, 116 run meters, 5 defenders beaten, and 2 clean breaks. Dombrandt for a number 8, 94 run meters, 8 defenders beaten, 4 clean breaks. That's a top shift as well. But Harlequins right now are in a pretty tough spot. That was a pretty disappointing one for them to let slip. So they're in third on 5 points. Still only 2 losses for them, but yeah, it just gets a bit harder. You need to get an away win from somewhere, so not ideal. But man, good stuff from Ulster. The next one, man, time is ticking along. Munster Saracens. This was one with big billing. It ended up being a pretty low scoring one, 10 points to 3. I did watch it, and I watched it on its own, so I feel like I've seen it pretty well. But yeah, there's not much to speak about in terms of try scoring. I'm not sure how you feel about this one if you're a Munster fan, because it's a win. But it's only 10-3, and that was a pretty second-string Saracen side. Like I mentioned in the preview, the number of guys was out was many. So I guess a win is a win. You take it, and the conditions were tough. That's definitely a part of it. Both sides had 10 faces early in each other's half. Nobody was able to score. Saracens conceded a penalty in their own 22. Like Earls tracked down one of the guys who was under pressure, and they managed to win a penalty from it, so good work rate early. But yeah, they weren't able to get any points from there. Hanrahan did kick a penalty on 17 minutes to make it 3-0. Munster went down the right wing. It looked like Scannell had a try, but the TMO said there was a knock-on in the build-up from a little line-out move. One of the guys, was it Farrell? Just got a hand on it and it went to ground. 30 minutes though, 31, O'Mahony finally breaks through, and it's kind of a literal breakthrough. He broke through the line. Earls again, the lead up was key. It was a key man, and he just had enough reach to get the ball down. So 10-0. 34 minutes, Saracens get a penalty kick. It hits the post, but they regather the ball, win another penalty, and then kick that one to make it 10-3 at half time. There's no score in the second half. It starts belting down. It's raining like crazy. Saracens have a penalty hit the posts. O'Mahony regathers that, and I guess he's seeing a bit of a Gaelic football skills from Irish players because he's a loose forward. But he put boot to ball and scared the crap out of the commentator because he thought he was going to get hit by the ball. I kind of know that feeling at times. when the ball's coming your way and you're in the crowd. It can be a little bit disconcerting. But yeah, Saracens went 10 phases, knocked it on. Munster's defence held. There were basic errors from both sides, knock-on errors, line-out errors, but again, the conditions were tough. Just when you thought it was full-time in this one and Munster had held off for a good win, the TMO checked Arno Borta's fend. He fends at one guy, and then the second guy he fends with his kind of forearm to the neck. And we saw that in the World Cup. I forget which guy did it. Was it Reece Hodge? And there was like a suspension for it. Yeah, you get in trouble for doing that. So forearm fend, he gets red carded. So Saracens do get another chance. You really hear the Munster crowd get into it at that point when Saracens are going for the throw. Sure enough, Munster steal the ball at line-out time. Job done. Victory for Munster. So they are second in the pool on 11 points. Saracens now third and 6 points. It looks tough, but how things are going to play out with Munster having had that draw with Racing. If Munster lose away and then still have a trip to Racing, it's not all comfortable sailing for them either. I feel like they probably need to win next week, but I'll have a look at the table at some point too. Stats: Munster 11 knock-on, Saracens 12. That's kind of par for the course with the way the rain was. Possession, Munster had 60+%, likewise territory. Run meters were 193, 172, so pretty low overall, but again, it wasn't the game to be running the ball about. Tackling, however, 93% Munster and 90% Saracens. That's what the game was about. It was a defensive masterclass, kind of from both sides. Took a magic moment to break through. Saracens made 181, Munster 117. Goal kicking, Munster were 100. Saracens 33, but it was kind of a missed goal kick that led to a goal kick for Saracens anyway, so yeah. Saracens get a losing bonus point. They can't complain about that with a trip to Munster with their second string side, surely. CJ Thunder 17 out of 18 tackles, Nick Ezekwe 21 out of 23, good effort from both guys. I feel like Munster would like to win by more, but again, a win is a win, and the conditions weren't all that conducive to putting on 43 points kind of thing. But anyway, the last one, Ospreys against Racing, 19-40. I've seen the highlights. It starts with a red card, which is not what you need if you're Ospreys because you're already up against it in that pool. It's Dan Evans, and it's a foot to the face. He's going for a high ball, and his foot goes up and strikes one of the guys coming in to compete with him. I've seen virtually exactly the same thing happen in Super Rugby, and it was the same result. It was a red card to the player who went up to catch the ball. So you do need to be careful with that foot. I know guys like to kind of shield themselves sometimes that way. It seemed kind of inadvertent, but you've just got to be careful. And yeah, it was a red card early. Thankfully, though, there was a yellow card to Racing. There was a bunch of yellow cards in this game. Imhoff was pinged for kind of repeated offside, so they went 14 for 14. Ospreys got the first try through Dirksen down the right wing, space out wide. Marty McKenzie, who I kind of gave a bit of grief in the preview, but his goal kicking kicks a wonderful conversion, 7-0. Then Ospreys get a guy yellow carded, so it's 14 on 13. And then they get a try Racing from a maul. It's 7 apiece. They get more tries during the yellow card because there's a crossfield kick from set piece. Tomar gets a try. So it's 14-7 to Racing. And then there's a penalty try and another yellow card with a deliberate knock-on from one of the Ospreys guys to make it 21-7. And at that time, I think Ospreys were down 3 players, which is not something you see very often. And it's kind of hard to win with that kind of number of guys on the field. So I made that 21 points conceded during the first yellow card. Then the second yellow card happens. The first guy comes back on. Tomar gets another try out wide. So during the new yellow card, they score another 7 points. Vakatawa almost had another one, but he was pinged for being offside at ruck time. That's how it goes in at halftime. 28 points to 7. Still got the red card. 45 minutes. Ospreys try to hold up Tanga. But that's the wrong move because they managed to set a maul going from there, and it goes over for a try. 33-7. Fia gets one back in return for Ospreys. Bit of power and some good passes in the build-up. 14-33. Ella Davis gets a pretty athletic one where he picks the ball up at the back of a ruck and kind of jumps over. 1 metre. 33 points to 19. I think Marty McKenzie did miss that conversion, so it wasn't 100% for him. Russian 92 missed a penalty. Chavancy got a try. Vakatawa with a good offload. 19 points to 40. That's the way it finishes. Racing get a yellow card towards the end of the game, but Ospreys aren't able to score. Venter went close. Missed the chance for a bonus point fourth try. So Ospreys remain fourth in the pool on nothing, with a trip to France next week, which is going to be tough. Racing are first on 12 points. The lead changed once during this game. You feel like the red card was the key factor. It's unfortunate whenever you see a red card at such an early point during the game. It kind of spoils it, but hey. Run meters 237 to 537. I don't need to tell you which way that was going. Possession, Racing 51. Territory, Racing 51. Penalties conceded, the Racing 16 to Ospreys 4. So that's a pretty poor effort from them. They shouldn't have been doing that in a game where they've got an extra man. Both sides were tackling in the 80s. Ospreys made 120, Racing 102. So convincing, but I wouldn't call that embarrassing for Ospreys, seeing as they were supposed to get a hiding, basically, even 15 on 15. The fact they played the whole game with 14 at sometimes 13 or maybe even 12 for a few minutes, it could have been worse. So, yeah, we'll see a reverse of all these fixtures next week. It should be a bit of an interesting one before we head into the Christmas break. You guys let me know your thoughts on the games. Like I said, I've seen 3 in full and 3 on the highlights. But, yeah, anything I missed, let me know. I didn't have space to write all the conversions and the penalties on the board this time, unfortunately. Off to buy a whiteboard marker now. If you like the fact that I'm going to buy a whiteboard marker, chuck a like on the video. Alright guys, I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.